So what are the changes that went through? What are the changes that it has gone through from 1946 till 2014 and even till 2020? What are those changes? Well, that's what we have to find out on this program then and now because we are looking at pension scheme. Don't go anywhere. While on this program, you can join us on Facebook because we are live. And our Facebook handle is Pensioners FM 106.7. You can watch us live there, make your comments or your contributions. And of course, towards the end of the program, we are going to open the phone line so that you can call in. And today with me, I have dignitaries in the house. Well, I will call their names so you know I indeed have dignitaries. Well, the first person here is no other person but Comrade Olusegun Abaton. Oh my God, I'm so excited to have someone like him here on my program today, and he is the executive secretary of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners or your state council. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, other state. Good morning, pensioners.
Okay, then I have another, and I have some also wonderful people as well. I have Mr. Olayinka Ogubi. He is the zonal head, Zone 3 of Premium Pension Ibadan. Please, you're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ma. Good morning, Pension FM. Good morning, Nigeria and Oyo State.
Thank you. And also I have his colleague, also representing the Premium Pensioners, and it's Babatunde Orin. Sorry. And I have his colleague here with me. I'm sorry about that. That is the person of Mr. Babatunde Orin Dari. I hope I pronounced it right, and I'm sorry if I didn't.
Yeah, they'll try.
Okay, thank you so much for forgiving me. Well, let's move on to what we have today. So I'm going to start with Comrade Olusegun Abaton because, well, he is our boss for today because he is the oldest person that I know in the pension scheme right here. So we're going to start with the old format of pension because then and now is about comparing, what we have before to what we have right now to see how it has transitioned from where we were back then. And if we're doing good, if we're not doing good, well, that is for you to decide and for you to make comments on. So with that in mind, let's go back to how was the old format of pensions, how the whole pension thing started in Nigeria.
In the first instance, I want to use this opportunity to felicitate Nigerian women because we are in the season of the International Women's Day celebration. I wish you all well, women. You are our mothers, you are our sisters, you are our daughters. And I pray that God will give you long life.
Amen.
Regarding pensions, pension is to the public. Let's define it. Pension is what you go through after you had paid all your dues as a worker, maybe having spent certain number of years or having reached certain number of age. In Nigeria, it is...
What are the ages you get to when you
that's
are
exactly what
considered a pensioner?
Yes, that's where I'm going. In Nigeria, you retire. You can retire anytime that pleases you. But the mandatory age of retirement is 60. When you are 60, you go. Whether you have just put in 20 years of service or 10 years. When you are 60 years of age, you go. Or if you are still young, or you were young when you took up the job, when you have reached or spent 35 years in service. But particularly, I don't like people spending too many years in service. I didn't do it.
So what year did you leave service?
Well, that's a secret. I didn't do it because if you spend 35 years in office, by the time you are out of office, you'll be like 58, 60. And there is virtually nothing you can do to yourself again. And, you are almost dead.
So how many years do you advise
Idealistically.
people to spend
The
in
best thing
service?
for anybody is that once you have your plans other than the official work, and you have been doing it, and it's already giving you dividends of your efforts, you can get out. I left at 13 years.
And you became the pensioner.
Yes. In
So
fact,
once
the
you-
law says that once you are 10 years, you are a pensioner. Once you are 10 years. The only thing is that the amount of money you will collect from government will be different from somebody who spent 35 years.
Okay.
Somebody that spent 35
It will
years
be
will
more?
yes, somebody that spent 35 years will go along with 300% of his salary. That is in the old scheme. There are two schemes, actually, in Nigeria.
And that's why we are going back to the old time. How did it all start here?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So the old time pension is what we call defined benefit scheme. Defined benefit scheme is essentially funded by governments, whether state government, whether local government or federal government. It has no input of the worker, and so it is funded solely by government.
Is it like there's a fixed amount of money you get as a pensioner?
It's not fixed.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, that depending on the number of years you spent in service, there are some people that will work out
With
your,
more?
your entitlement. If you spend 10 years, they work it out. 15 years, 20 years, 30, 35, and that is what they give you as one, your gratuity. 2, your monthly pension until you die. That is it. So that's what happens in the defined benefit scheme, which in fact Oyo State workers are still engaged in. Oyo State is not yet into contributory pension scheme.
Is that the new scheme?
Yes, this new
That is
scheme.
where we are now.
That is what not all states of the federation have keyed into the contributory.
But that is where
pension scheme.
Nigeria is right now.
Well,
when it comes to pension scheme.
that is where Nigeria is supposed to be.
Oh.
It's not there. Because as I speak with you, only about, I think will enlighten us.
Yeah, we'll go into that later. Sir.
Only about 8 or so, 10 states have really keyed in. The people that have really keyed in are private workers. And they have the most of the money that is in the pension scheme. Yes. So that's it.
All right, thank you very much, sir. So let's go. There's something I want to ask before I move further. Now, in the United Kingdom, there's a state pension, and it's different from the regular pension scheme. But is it so in Nigeria? And if it's so, sorry, my question is, in the UK there's a state pension, and it's different from the one in the regular pension. Is it how it is in Nigeria?
Earlier I said there are two types of the pension scheme. In fact, I would want to say this, that in the advanced countries, many of the pension scheme, in fact, the pension scheme in most advanced countries is contributory. Contributory. And that is the idea they brought here. But my take is that the idea, good as the idea is, the Nigerian factor has crept in.
And what would that be, sir?
No, we will explain that as we go,
Okay.
because our people here will also talk. No, like the one you are talking about, there is this contributory pension scheme, which most advanced countries do, and it is the money that pensioners or workers contributed in these advanced countries that is used to develop their economy, infrastructure, etc. And that is why workers or retired personnel there are termed as senior citizens, and they give them that the dividends of having their money spent on infrastructural development, etc., etc. But in Nigeria, we are not there yet. We are just trying to be there, and
Right.
a lot of bottlenecks are there
Which
in the contributory
which we'll
pension.
go into,
We will go into
later.
So
All right,
that's,
thank you, sir, for establishing that wonderful foundation. Well, we're going to go on a short musical break, and when we come back, we're going to look more on this topic, pension scheme, then and now. Okay. All right, you're welcome back to Pensioners FM 106.7. This is Then and Now. And if you're just joining us, we are discussing pension scheme then and now. Please know that our Facebook page is right there, it's open, and we are live. And you can watch us right now on Pensioners FM 106.7. That is our Facebook handle. All right, so I'm still here with my dignitaries here on my studio right now. I'm here with no other person but Comrade Olusegun Abaton. I'm here with Mr. Olayinka Ogubi and Babatunde Orindari. So thank you so much for coming back on this program with me. We are going to start by going further in our discussion for the day. We already established the ground for our pension scheme and how it all started back in the days. All right, so let's move on because I have not even touched my other guests. So we're going to start with the Pension Act of 2004. Yes. So that is the act that actually established the PFAs. That's why we have, pensions scheme like the premium pensions today. So what came about? Why that act? Why was that act established? The 2004 Act. Yes, I have my wonderful guest today from the premium pension to answer that question.
Okay, thank you very much. We are happy to be here once again. Let me start by congratulating the Pensioner FM. You are doing wonderfully well. In addition to what the first speaker has established about the old pension scheme, because it is as a result of the failure of the old pension scheme, that was what really gave back to pension reform in 2014. Just as he has rightly said, under the old pension scheme, unfunded defined benefit scheme, the scheme usually based on budgetary allocation. In Nigeria today, most time we usually have a budget deficit. There's no adequate fund to fund the old pension scheme. That was why the new pension was introduced. In fact, as of 2004, when the Act initially introduced, the federal government pension liability was expected to be over 2 trillion naira. So that was only federal government. So because of that problem, that was why Obasanjo then set up some committees to go and understudy Chile, because in Chile, they have a very organized pension scheme.
So Chile was the framework in which our pension scheme is now being based on.
So they went to Chile to understudy their pensions, and it is their idea that those committee brought from Chile that led to the birth of pension reform 2004. We initially had it pension reform 2004, but when we run that program for about 10 years, so there are a lot of loopholes and also deficiencies. So that was why the federal government enacted pension reform at 2014 to take care of some of the gray areas under the pension reform.
All right, thank you so much, sir. So let's go back to Comrade Abaton. You said the old pension scheme was run with a defined benefit scheme. That was what we had. So what was the issue with the defined benefit scheme that made Nigeria to try to introduce the PFAs, the CFAs, and also the CPS system which we have now, that is contribution pension scheme?
Well, as I said earlier, the DBS, that is Defined Benefit Scheme, is sponsored by the federal government, the state government, local government, and budgeted for. Before we started having issues, pension was paid as and when due, even during the time of the military. Pensioners never suffered until we got into this Fourth Republic. In fact, pensioners' trouble started from 1999. Immediately we entered the Fourth Republic.
What were the troubles, sir?
Yes, and I think the problem is not much of lack of fund, but the mindset of those at the helm of affairs to take care of pensioners. The mindset of many of them is that pensioners are spent forces. Why should they be spending money on them? Why should they be paying them after they had served government for 35 years? And so budgetary allocations to pension was diminished, reduced.
But if they are saying that the idea of having a pension scheme at all is to take care of people who have served.
No, I'm coming. Let me explain.
All right,
so pension, budget to fund pension was reduced or not even adhered to. Many of the so-called governors then even started insulting pensioners to the extent that some of them said, well, rather than take care of living people, the old people are also demanding for rights. So it is not it's not about money now, but about the mindset of those. And I've always said it, that from 1999 to date, those that are manning the government, whether federal, state, and local government, are never leaders, but dealers. They don't take into consideration the sufferings and the interests of not only pensioners, of even the citizenry of the country. And that is the main purpose. It's a mindset. If your mindset is that some people should suffer for life, you will not make provision for it. And so they are not making provision for it. And then, of course, we have some other issues that
Okay.
made the old scheme a little bit too difficult to run.
What are they,
But
sir?
again, even the contributory pension scheme, as I speak, is still a very serious problem to those that are involved in it now.
We are going to go into
Yes.
contributing to pension scheme in detail. But for now, I want you to establish a framework, a ground for the 2004 Pension Reform Act.
Well, what they told us before 2004 PRA, that is Pension Reform Act, was put in place, was one, the objectives, one, that they wanted to teach people how to save money, because many workers don't save money while at work. That was the first, carrot, that they wanted to make people save money. And it is true, many workers don't save money. Many people, when they get their salaries, go to the market, buy clothes, buy shoes, and all. That was a good one. Two, that, as my colleague has said, the liability due to non-provision of fund for defined benefit scheme had risen to high heavens at the federal level, state level, and all. And so they said, okay, let us all contribute to it. Let the workers contribute to it. Let the employers contribute to it. But in my own estimation, I think the federal government, good as the idea was, they started too early. And I'll explain what I mean.
Okay.
What government would have done was to allow those that were on the defined benefit scheme to run that scheme till the end of their tenure in office. And that I will suggest that, well, it's late, there's nothing they can do now. That
Definitely.
now the contributory pension scheme
Yeah.
should have started with those that were employed in 2004, so that money, before anybody could want to ask for his other pension or something, will be 35 years from 2004. So there will be more money for government to use, because one of the purposes of that scheme was for government to amass some money to use for infrastructure, to use for some other things. Now, but the problem now is that those people that were already on defined benefit scheme, maybe for 20 years, and were railroaded into the contributory pension scheme and spent 15 years, the problem now is that their accruals, that is what government is supposed to have given them for those 20 years they served, was not paid. And that is exactly what is playing out now at the federal level.
We are going to go into that particular
Yes.
area of pension scheme. Yes. This is then and now. We compare old versus new. So don't
And so,
worry.
like,
we are there.
like then and now, in the spirit of your then and now,
Yes.
pension was regular before
In the past.
in the past, very regular.
Very regular.
You knew when you were going to take your pension. In fact, the day you leave office, your check, your gratuity check, your check for gratuity is given you straight, until now that 10 years after leaving, you have not gotten your gratuity.
So we use that the new reforms are not effective.
Well, the new reform has not been that good to pensioners. We'll go into it because my people are also here.
Yes, I want
Yes.
to, because 2004 Pension Reform Act introduced the PFAs. So that is when we have, like three major key players, addition to the normal state defined benefit scheme that was there. So what can you say that are the functions of the PFAs? That's the public, that's the pension fund administrators. Remind me.
Just as I said initially, in 2004 we have pension reform act 2004, but 10 years after we now have pension reform act 2014.
as
under,
amended.
As
Yeah.
amended, yeah, exactly. So under the Pension Reform Act, we have a regulatory body.
Wait, you said in 2004 it was not as profitable for you as 2014.
No, it is profitable, but to ensure that more people are covered and to also introduce some other incentives. That was why the pension from 2004 was reviewed in 2014.
Okay, so what are the functions of the pension fund and administrators?
Okay, before I go into that, let me just mention some of the key players in the pension industry. We have National Pension Commission that regulates pension industry in Nigeria. The National Pension Commission also licensed the operators. One of the operators is pension fund administrators.
Administrators, yes.
Administrators. We have a lot of roles. One of our roles is to manage and invest pension fund for both employees in public and private sectors. Then it is also our duty to open retirement savings accounts for both employees in public and private sectors. Then at the end of the day, once people retire, then we also pay them their retirement benefits through our custodian. So we also equally give all our members, that is the customers, we give them a quarterly statement of account. We also render relationship management, that is we interface from all our customers from time to time. So those are some of the functions of pension fund administrators.
Okay, so will you say that the new reforms and with the introductions of the pension fund administrators, that the pension issues in Nigeria has been reduced, like the complaints and issues with the pensioners?
Exactly, because under this scheme, one of the major reasons that made federal government to introduce contribute pension schemes to ensure that pensioners are paid as at when due. Let me give you, I'm talking from experience. Some of the retirees we have on our payrolls, we make sure that we pay them on or before 15th of every month. And they are here, they can attest to that. So that's why, to the extent, the contributory pension scheme is better than the old pension scheme, because under this scheme, pensioners are paid as at when due.
We are going to go into contributing pension scheme now. So before we go into the phone lines are now open, so you can call in and make your contributions as promised. Numbers to call is 0908 111 1067 and 0808 1010 1067. So please make your calls and contribution, and we would hear them now. Okay, let's move on to the contributory pension scheme. Sorry, before I go on, let me not fail to mention that you can also make your comments on Facebook, because I can see so many people joining us, and you can make your comments there or ask your questions there, and we would read them out and answer them as much as we can. So yes. So sir, let's go back to Comrade Abaton, and he said that most of the states have not keyed into the contributory pension scheme because of the non-payment of accruals. So please, sir, can you expatiate on this point?
The workers are having problems with their employers, some of the employers. And the first instance is when workers' dues were deducted and the dues were not taken to the PFAs. In some cases, the dues just disappeared.
Unknowingly.
Yes. In fact, I wouldn't mention, even here in the Southwest, we have some workers who contributed in some states in the Southwest, and their money didn't get to the PFAs. And when they retired, that there was nothing in the kit, in their RSA. That the RSA is the retirement savings account. So that is one of the problems. And because some of these defaulters are big stakeholders, like the state, nothing was done to them. Even I'm aware of the fact that the PENCOM has um, the PENCOM has sanctions for defaulters.
But are these sanctions being carried out in any way?
In some places, like um, like the private sectors, they are carried out. But I am yet to see where state governments that defaulted have been sanctioned. I'm yet to see that. But in the private sectors, private companies, and so that defaulted, PENCOM had been doing that, and they have been rerouting many of them into the line. But you see, to now say the contributory pension scheme is better than the defined benefit scheme, one will have to really sit down and juxtapose certain things. It is true that those in the contributory pension scheme earn their pension as
when due.
and when due. But there are certain things that are wrong, and I want, well, through them, I want them to note this, and then probably, because I'm sure the PRA of 2014 will need to be also amended, maybe in another 10 years, because there are certain things that are wrong. First is the age. You see, in the act, they say when you retire, you take whether 50% of your earnings. 25%.
Okay.
They say 25% to 50%. Now, if I was able to save 10 million naira, and my employer was also good to have contributed, and we are able to save 10 million naira while I exited,
Yes.
and they pay me between 25% to 50%. Let us even take 50%. And they pay me 50%, which is 5 million naira as I go. Now, where this thing needs to be further amended is that the remaining 5 million naira, that is where the problem is really.
Where does it go?
It's not calculated on an assumed number of years the PFAs think I'm going to spend on earth. Now, if you say, well, based on the pedigree of my pedigree, maybe my family, they die between 70 and 71 or 72. And when I retired, I was 60. Now you want to put the 5 million naira and spread it over 11 months. What happens after that, and I'm still alive? That's the area we are really concerned about for these people. Then two, those in the contributory pension scheme, don't have a voice. They don't belong to any union. And that is why government is doing what it is doing to them now. Government is saying that it's going to borrow whether 2 trillion naira or something.
Yes.
And I tell you, they will borrow it and nothing is going to happen. And Nigerian factor.
But it has been opposed. It's been opposed randomly.
If it is opposed, in Nigeria, when they fly a kite like that, they want to hear people's opinions. Before you know it, you just hear it on radio or in the papers that 2 trillion naira has been taken, and how do they now recover the 2 trillion naira back? In other climes, in civilized countries, they can even take the whole 10 trillion naira because they know that they are going to use it and double it, even triple it. But in Nigeria,
have there been cases whereby they borrowed money and they didn't pay back the government?
You see, the Nigerian factor. So don't let us go into it. Nigerian factor, that word alone has said it all. So now the area we want them to have an amendment is in the area of saying if I live for another so years. Because let me tell you, under the DBS, Defined Benefit Scheme, one of my pensioners, a monarch, an Oba, here in Ibadan, retired after working for about 13 years. And he collected this pension for 59 years. 59 years. If it were under the contributory pension scheme, maybe they will have he will have exhausted his savings by 10 or 15 years after retirement. And what will he have been doing? So that one we know. Then we want the contributory pensioners to have their pension deducted as other workers. 1%. In fact, we have taken that to the Senate because it's supposed to be an act of parliament. That those that are on contributory pension scheme should be paying they should unionize, join a union, Nigerian Union of Pensioners, or form their own union and pay dues to that union, so that if they have any issue with government or with their employers, the union will take it up and fight it. In fact, what is supposed to have happened if they had got a union is that when the government is trying to is flying the kite that they want to borrow 2 trillion naira, the unions will have gingered all of them up throughout the federation and will have demonstrated, and that will have stopped it. So that is the thing.
All right, sir. Let me throw back the question to the PFAs here, because they are in support of contributory pension scheme, and you just mentioned that the defined benefit scheme is actually better because the contributory pension scheme is not living up to standards. So let them defend the question that I posed earlier and said that the issue of the contributory pension scheme, why so many states have not adopted it, because of the non-payment of accruals by the government.
Okay, initially when Pension Reform Act 2004 started, it was not mandatory for all the state governments, because at state level they have their own national assembly that make laws for the state. So the act initially cover federal government employees, the private sectors, and also the FCT workers. But under the Pension Reform Act 2014, it has make it mandatory for all the states and also the local government to also key into that scheme. Some other states that also started earlier, just as you has mentioned, some start to West.
Is it the reason why people are not keying into the scheme fully? They're not fully implementing the scheme?
No, it depends. It depends on the goodwill of maybe a particular governance in any of the states of the federation. So, as he has rightly said, most state government they have key and they are doing wonderfully well. But we also have some states also that have key.
Why are they not keying? Why don't they want to be into the contributory pension scheme?
I know because of political issues. Because there was a time that one of the former governors in Oyo State also want to try to implement that scheme. And that was the time that it's very close to campaign period.
What about the non-issue of non-payment of accruals by the government?
The issue of because of I mentioned initially that because of the huge pension liabilities, and the contributory pension the new contributory pension scheme is also to address that. That is why there's also need for state government and also the operators, whether the state government or the federal government, introduce the contributory pension scheme in the first instance to address the shortfall or the problem of the old pension scheme. Because under the old pension scheme, federal government and even state governments, they cannot fund that scheme. And in fact, as of 2004, the Forbes actually valuation company, that did that service for the federal government, said there will even be a time that federal government, if that trend continues, that there will be a time that federal government will no longer be able to pay pension.
Why
and
is that?
It has even started happening.
Why?
Now.
Why is that happening? Why can't they pay? Why can't they fully fund that old style pension?
Because the fund is not available. Resources. And the resources is meager. And even now, you can some state government even find it difficult to even pay salary, talk less of pension.
So is that the
But
reason
if,
why the contributing pension scheme was introduced?
exactly. So that at least, because under the contributing pension scheme, the scheme is fully funded. As you are working, you are contributing. Your employer is also contributing on your behalf. So before you even retire, you will be getting quarterly statement of account. Before you even retire, you even see, what you even have in your retirement savings account.
Okay, so what are the constraints that you have with so far as with this contribution pension scheme? Do you have any constraints?
Most of the constraints is non-compliance. Though most private sectors and also all the federal government employees, they have
Is it not compliance by the state or
by the state,
by private companies?
by state government and also some few private sectors. So those are some of the major constraints. Contributory pension scheme, if it's properly implemented, just as the first speaker has said, it will address all the pension challenges we have in Nigeria.
So do you have any reaction to that?
Well, I let me first of all say something about it because you mentioned Oyo State not keen to it because of one governor and because of the politics and so on and so forth. It wasn't that because I've been there. I'm a member of NFC executive. What happened was that I won't mention the governor. That was about 8 or more years ago. The governor, in fact, the thing had reached almost a conclusion at the House of Assembly. But the governor brought in his own chosen PFAs, whereas the law says I should choose my own PFA. And the governor wanted to force his own PFAs on workers. This is the area of departure. Then with the last administration, we also went ahead to want to do it. But during that time, for complete 8 years, many workers were not promoted. And so, upon what premise do you want to start deducting my money? They were not promoted for 8 years. If I was supposed to be on level 14, and because you have not promoted me for about 8 years, I was still on 10. I mean,
Collecting the same salary?
Collecting the same salary. So the departure then, with the last administration, was give us our promotion, let us be on the scale we are supposed to be. And then we now can talk about contributory pension scheme.
Okay, Mr. Bantude, you are signed. Do you have anything to add to what he just said?
No, actually, we have issues with some of the state governors that are not kidding. If you look at the pension very well, the new pension scheme is open. It's very good, and with what we have had, you can say that it's been going smoothly, unlike what we had in the defined pension scheme. For the state, we have some of the states that are doing very well in the scheme, and if you ask some of the retirees, they have been getting their benefit every month. So I believe this new scheme is good, and unless, like he said, it was due. If you look at what the last speaker said, it was political. Somebody was trying to.
But he said it's not political.
Yeah, it is. Like what he said, that somebody was trying to impose, and they had to discard that, and they had to go with what is in the pension scheme, in the Pension Act. So all that hadn't been, that was properly done. The PFAs were allowed, the employees were allowed to choose their PFAs, like what is in the Act. I think they would have done that. So I believe the new pension scheme is good.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, I love a good debate where we have two different opposing sides. Well, we still used to listen to Pensioners FM 106.7, and we are live on Facebook right now on Pensioners FM 106.7. That's our Facebook handle, and you can call in because we're almost out of time, but you can still call in if you want to make your contribution on this topic. The numbers to call is 0908 111 1067 and 0808 1067. Also, you can connect with us on all our social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and all our website on Pensioners FM 106.7. All right, sir. So moving on, you said something before. I'm going to Comrade Olusegun Abaton, and he said the Nigerian factor, has always been one of the reasons why people react negatively to some things. So, do you think there's a place for change? Making a reference to the government trying to borrow 2 trillion from the pension fund. So, do you think that is a place for change? Do you think that if the government borrows this money, they'll be able to refund it or they'll be able to make it grow? So, what do you think?
You see, in 2007, when I was invited to a radio program like this, I said the contributory pension scheme is a good idea if the Nigerian factor does not creep in. But unfortunately, Nigerian factor has crept in.
Do you think that factor can be changed, that we can change the mindset?
I am yet to see the Nigerian factor being changed. Because, you see, in Nigeria, there's no such integrity as to serve people with all our heart. Everybody wants to cut corners. And that is the problem. If the scheme is worked the way advanced countries of the world have been doing it, perfect. But many things have happened. For example, he said, they just mentioned one aspect, that pensioners under the contributory pension scheme are getting their pension as and when due.
Yes.
But again, they have not told us about those that are under it know that they have a problem. And the problem is about what they now earn as their pension vis-a-vis their mates in the defined benefit scheme as I speak with you. For example, let me tell you, last week I was in UCH to see my wife, who is a matron there, and some of our mates were already agitating, troubled that if they retire, somebody that is on probably 400,000 or so was telling me that if she retires, she won't be able to take home even 100,000 naira as her pension because of the arrangement.
The contributory pension scheme.
Because of the way
okay.
the contributory pension scheme is factored. I don't know. No? Now, that's one. And I think the reason is this. In the old scheme, in fact, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 takes care more of the advancement of the pensions of those that are in the old scheme. What am I trying to say? In sections 173, subsection 3, section 210, subsection 3 of the Federal Constitution, Constitution, it says that as workers' salaries are increased, pension also should be increased concomitantly, or once in every 5 years, whichever comes earlier. Now, the minimum wage has been done now, 30,000. We are expecting a circular that will also put increase on pension. For those at the contributory pension scheme, I am yet to know whether their pension increases at all, because their money is being used by the PFAs. And they are supposed to at least give certain interests to those that they use their money. And that has been the problem. So that a professor in UI who is under contributory pension scheme after retirement doesn't earn as much as even his lecturer in the old scheme. So these are the problems we have in the old scheme and the contributory pension scheme.
Would you like to defend your
Okay.
contributory pension scheme?
Okay, first of all, I would like to mention that, he mentioned a point the other time. Under the contributory pensions also, the payment is also for life. It's for life. And in fact, this is the second time we are also enhancing all the retirees that fall under this scheme. The first one enhancement we did was in 2017. Then we have also done one this year.
Recently.
So, and I'm also very sure that in the next 2 years also, we're also going to do more.
Okay. The Nigerian factor, let me give you the same question I gave to him. Speaking on Nigerian factor, do you think that this 2 trillion naira that the government wants to borrow from the pension fund, do you think it will, if they borrow it, they will be able to pay back and also grow the pension fund?
They will definitely pay back because, we have a basket of investments under the contributory pension scheme. And one of the area where we invest pension fund is federal government bond. So we have even been doing that even before now.
Yes.
So, and when federal government bond, when we invest in their bond, once it's matured, we get our money back. So I'm very sure that, once, even if at all federal government decided to borrow that money, but because government knows that it is special money and it's not the money that they can toy with, automatically we are going to get the money back.
All right, thank you so much, sir.
But the 2 trillion naira is not for bonds. It's for infrastructure development. I don't know how they are going to scoop money.
The idea is
even in Chile,
pay back.
even in Chile, that's what they do. The contributory pensions, most of the project, the capital project that, and also the money that they spend in social provision of social amenities, they get those money through the contributory pensions.
Because the government of Chile has integrity.
Well,
Nigerian governments don't have an integrity. That is the truth of the matter.
This, as lovely as this topic is, we can even talk about it for 2 hours. Because that is even more. So, but we don't have much time on this program. Yes, that's what my DC on duty is already telling me, that we don't have much time. Also, thank you so much for listening to this program. And this has been Then and Now with Juliet and Nine. Also, thank you to my wonderful, distinguished guest, Comrade Olusegun Abaton, who is the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, or your State Council, and also the MD CEO of Pensioner Global Ventures, who are the owners of Pensioners FM 106.7, and also to my wonderful guest from the Premium Pension, Mr. Olayinka Ogumbi, who is the Zona Head, Zone 3, Ibadan office, and also Babantude Orindari. Thank you so much for being with me in this program, and also thank you, my wonderful listener, for being with me in this program, for staying tuned to this program. Thank you for those that are connected on Facebook. I can see you. Shout out to you. There's not much time to call your name one after the others, but thank you so much for always being with me in this program. And for those who try to call, and if you didn't connect, I'm very sorry. I apologize due to our small technical issues. So thank you so much for also staying with me on this program. I am Juliet, and here, thank you to my wonderful producer, and I'll see you next Monday, same time. Bye for now.
Looking for that radio station that will serve you better.
Best of sports, entertainment, you gon' know we be master.
Information, education, now we get to make you era.
Enter the place, we set the pace, so you come following the race and say
I better go on the Ricky 106.7.
what's a vibration?